He's not even built the same as Jake. I would say Jake's a little bit faster than him. He has more power, but he's slower in distributing that power. And I feel like Anthony probably took him a little bit more serious just because he's actually a bigger heavyweight with power. And I feel like he did everything.
Going to get anything out of that sparring that's going to help you in your fight? Maybe you are. Maybe I'm just completely diminishing Jake Paul's ability, but I'm struggling. I really am.
Fair play to Jake Paul. I mean,
and you're right, there's a bit of a conflict there because Joshua used to manage it.
Jake Paul's latest transformation has shocked fans, revealing a sharper, stronger, and more defined physique as he gears up for his clash with Anthony Joshua. His tightened frame reflects weeks of relentless conditioning and a highly focused camp. The dramatic change shows he's taking this matchup more seriously than ever, adding power, discipline, and confidence as he prepares for the toughest and most significant fight of his career. Tony Jeff breaks down how Jake Paul could pull off a shocking upset against Anthony Joshua by focusing on timing, momentum, and physical development. He points out that Jake has been far more active in recent years, staying sharp through consistent training camps and regular fights. That steady activity keeps a fighter confident, coordinated, and fully in rhythm. In contrast, Joshua has dealt with stretches of inactivity that can dull timing, disrupt readiness, and slow a fighter's ability to adjust under pressure. Jeff also emphasizes age, noting that Jake is younger, fresher, and still improving, while Joshua is moving into the later stages of his career. On top of that, Jake's recent physical transformation signals a more disciplined, powerful, and committed athlete. According to Jeff, these combined factors could give Jake surprising edge when the two finally meet.
Paul, on the other hand, looking at his box rec, he's had 6 fights since 2023, and one of them was against Mike Tyson. But we all seen what happened in that fight. Mike Tyson was well past his prime. Where Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, is, I'm not going to say he's coming into his prime because he had some great wins earlier on in his career before he lost to Usyk twice. And by the way, when he did lose to Usyk, the last one was a split decision. It was a pretty close fight. So now this fight is matched, and I just want to look at the tail of the tape. Now, looking at the age difference, we've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old. But that being said, we've got talking about experience and everything else, what comes with being 36 years old at Anthony Joshua's level. And then, like I mentioned, the heavyweights kind of seem to prime a little bit older. They'll come down to the height and the weight. This is the big one. 6'1" versus 6'6". 200 pound versus 252 pound. We got a 252 pounder in Anthony Joshua. The reach advantage is a lot, which we would expect. Amateur fights, we can see that Jake's only had one, where AJ's had 43, but 43 of them are included at the highest level, Olympic level. And yes, he won the Olympic bloody gold medal, if I don't need to remind you. Then the pro record, Jake Paul has had 13 fights, lost 1. AJ has had 28 fights and he's lost 4 with 25 KOs. And the one person that Jake Paul lost to was Tommy Fury. Now, can we compare Tommy Fury with Anthony Joshua? Not at all. It's like night and day. So now I'm going to talk about the rules of this fight, and I'll give you my prediction, which is going to shock a lot of people after this. So, what are the rules? The bout will take place.
Analysts break down Jake Paul's sparring sessions with heavyweights and what both sides gain from the experience. For the heavyweights, the biggest benefit is a sizable payday that comes with working alongside a major global name like Jake, along with added exposure, and a chance to sharpen their skills in a controlled setting. For Jake, facing larger and stronger opponents signals how seriously he's preparing for Anthony Joshua. These demanding rounds elevate his conditioning, timing, and resilience beyond his usual training partners. Experts say the intensity of these sparring sessions shows Jake is fully committed to meeting the challenge ahead.
I know they're getting a lot of money to be there, and it's easy work. But what is in that for Lawrence Okoli, Frank Sanchez, and Jared Anderson?
Easy money. I don't know how much he'll be paying sparring partners. I assume to get those caliber of sparring partners in, it's got to be big money.
Lawrence Okoli's got a fight coming up. If you're Joe Gallagher, are you go spar Jake Paul? Is that going to help you?
No, absolutely not. Are you going to get a bit of profile from it, perhaps? People are going to hear your name? Yeah. Does that help? I mean, we're going to spar with Kessler, and I got 500 pounds or euros for the week. It was the hardest money I've ever earned in my
Yeah,
life.
but how much did you learn from?
Yeah, me, bundles.
Yeah. What's a Coley learn? I don't get it.
No.
I mean, I do get it, the money. But when you got a fight coming up, I'm thinking, really? Are you going to get anything out of that sparring that's going to help you in your fight? Maybe you are. Maybe I'm just completely diminishing Jake Paul's ability, but I'm struggling. I really am.
Fair play to Jake Paul. I mean,
And you're right, there's a bit of a conflict there because Joshua used to manage him. didn't
yeah, it was through 258,
he?
right?
Yeah. But surely they're smashing him to pieces. Surely Jake's going, oh, what the fuck? This is fucking horrible.
Every single one of those three fighters there could annihilate him in a round.
Yeah, so are they not doing that?
Tyrone Woodley offers a surprising breakdown when comparing Jake Paul to Francis Ngannou. He says Jake is clearly faster, and that speed gives him a real edge, especially against a heavyweight like Anthony Joshua. Woodley adds that Jake's punches have more snap than people realize, even suggesting Jake can generate slightly more power in certain shots than Ngannou simply because he delivers them quicker. Because of that blend of speed and unexpected force, Woodley believes the Joshua fight won't resemble Joshua's quick demolition of Ngannou at all. Instead, he predicts Jake will push the matchup into the later rounds. Woodley thinks Jake's conditioning, movement, and willingness to take risks will keep him upright far longer than most expect. In his view, this fight becomes more about endurance, technique, and pacing rather than a single explosive moment, forcing Joshua into a full strategic contest instead of an early knockout. Woodley also breaks down the difference between preparing for Ngannou and preparing for Joshua. Ngannou fights with massive, committed power that creates openings. Joshua, on the other hand, is structured, disciplined, and balanced. Against Ngannou, the danger is instant and overwhelming. Against Joshua, the threat comes from his experience, patience, and ability to break opponents down over time.
This Jake Paul Anthony Joshua fight, do you think Jake has lost his mind? You know him probably as well as anyone.
I mean, Jake has been lost his mind. Like, what's new? Like, he lost his mind when he fought me. He lost his mind when he fought Anderson, when he fought Nate. He lost his mind when he wanted to fight professionally and switched over from amateur. It's really kind of been a theme. And I feel like the only person that hurt him ever was me. The only person that he lost to was somebody that actually boxed him, that actually took him serious, used the jab, moved around. And I feel like we've seen fights where Anthony didn't do that, and we've seen fights where he did. Depending on which version Anthony Joshua comes out, depends on if Jake has what we would call a chance. When you fighting, if you got knockout power, you got belief in yourself, you got some speed, agility to move around, you always have a chance. You know what I mean? We've seen crazier things happen. Francis Ngannou is a terrible comparison to this happened to Francis. He's not even built the same as Jake. I would say Jake's a little bit faster than him. He has more power, but he's slower in distributing that power. And I feel like Anthony probably took him a little bit more serious just because he's actually a bigger heavyweight with power, and I feel like he did everything to make sure Francis didn't even get a chance to use it. So I don't have to make a prediction because I'm fighting, I'm not commentating, but you know, I love when people doubt me, so I'm never gonna doubt somebody if they believe in themselves.
Do you think he has a chance, Jake?
I mean, people think I'm crazy, but they yelled at me when I said I thought the fight with him and Anderson was even.
Frank Smith explains that putting together the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight was far simpler than most people assume. He says they never spent time worrying about critics or public backlash. To him, boxing is a mix of entertainment, business, and competition. And when a matchup benefits everyone involved, there's no reason to hesitate. Both fighters recognize a clear opportunity. Joshua get a massive event that keeps him active and draws huge global attention, while Jake received the toughest challenge of his career, along with a major financial payoff. Smith argues there's nothing wrong with making a fight that sparks real conversation. The sport grows when fans debate, react, and stay engaged, and this matchup does exactly that. In his view, the decision was practical, beneficial for business, good for both fighters, and healthy for the market overall. He adds that boxing has always been driven by big personalities and bold, unexpected matchups. Waiting for perfect fights only slows the sport down, while risks and surprising pairings push it forward. Smith believed Joshua and Jake understood this completely. Both saw a massive spotlight and a chance to create something memorable. And to him, financial success doesn't cheapen a fight. If anything, it proves the public truly wants to see it.
140, but it's up there, tens of millions, right? Tens of millions of pounds. Is your instant reaction, it's good for AJ, bad for Jake Paul, or do you think about the AJ legacy conversation at that moment as well?
No, I think I've been in the sport so long where you see people, we live in a world now where you do something today and it's forgotten about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? And you've got to do what's best for you. Our job is to do the best for the clients we represent. Anthony Joshua has been with us since he was turned out at the Olympics 13 years ago. We've got a lifetime deal with him. Our job is to deliver for him. So when you get a phone call with that amount of money, you're sitting there going, where has this come? Thank God. So it's not, don't get me wrong, we will always look at the optics of things, but we're logical. We're not fans. We're sitting there going, there's going to be people who say this is a joke, but our job is to deliver for him. And that is a fight that delivers for him. So we're sitting there going, happy days, all day long, we'll take the money.
And when you had your first conversation with Anthony about this fight, what was his take at that point? Was he initially hesitant, or was he immediately, for that money and that guy, let's go?
Immediately, yes, immediately. There was no hesitation. You got to imagine, he's been in there with the best fighters in the heavyweight division over the last 10 years. He's never shied away from a challenge. It's not the person he is. So when you say, do you want to fight a former YouTuber Disney star for a load of money in America in 5 weeks' time, he's going, that's a touch, isn't it? Because as any athlete, when you're going in there against Alexander Usyk, you're going to have elements of doubt. You're going to have elements of, this is hard. Like, he's bloody good. Yeah. I would think, I'm not an athlete myself, but I would think that's what you go through. Whereas this one, it's just like, easy. I'd fight Jake Paul for a load of money. So he's obviously thinking, I'll do it. If I'm sitting there saying, I think it's more competitive, me and Jake Paul, than Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. So there was no ounce of, is this the right thing to do? It was all day long, thanks very much.
And I want to talk to you about the art of negotiation, because I think that is one of your great talents. And I enjoyed watching the recent Matchroom documentary, and just watching you kind of like, I just think you think very strategically, right, about when people are coming together. So when the phone call first comes in from Jake Paul's people and they say, this is the fight and this is the money and this is the location, what is a good negotiation in that instance for you? Like, did you manage to up the money hugely? Did you manage to get certain clauses or deals in place that you wanted?
Yeah, always pushing to get more money or certain elements that work for you, and we did that in this instance. Boxing, though, as a business, is something that's so much led by ego, and that's the biggest downfall of people in boxing. Ego drives everything. Yeah. Whereas sometimes it's about, is this the best thing to do? We've been in places before where we're not promoting this show, for example. It's not on our broadcaster. We did a deal with DAZN to allow the fight to go ahead, who's Anthony's exclusive broadcast partner. And it was about, does this deal make sense? So when it came to the money, we pushed hard on the money. We pushed hard on all of the ancillary terms around it.
What sort of things are ancillary terms?
So whether it's flights, hotels, sponsors, all of the elements that come alongside it. Not so much in this fight, because officials, you could judge the fight because it's not going to go 8 rounds.
Yeah.
Paulie Malignaggi quickly questions whether the fight will actually happen, suggesting the announcement might be more about generating buzz and confirming a real event. He believes it's entirely possible both sides push the news to dominate headlines, flood social media, and spark global debate, only to cancel later once the attention has served its purpose. Malignaggi points out that boxing has used these tactics before, teasing major matchups that create massive hype but never materialize. His skepticism comes from familiar patterns: surprise announcements, vague details, and dramatic marketing that fades long before fight night. Meanwhile, analysts at Boxing Scene describe the Joshua versus Jake Paul matchup as one of the boldest decisions Jake has ever made. They respect the ambition, but underline the danger, stepping in with a seasoned heavyweight. Someone who has operated at the highest level for years, shows Jake is pushing himself further than any influencer-turned-fighter has before. The panel sees this as a major escalation in competitive risk, not just a promotional stunt. They acknowledge Jake's improvements, discipline, and technical progress, but emphasize that Anthony Joshua is an entirely different challenge. With Olympic pedigree, multiple world titles, and devastating knockout power, Joshua represents a level of threat Jake has never encountered.
My co-host at Pro Boxing made a good point today. He said, I don't see that fight happening. I think they just signed it just to make people talk. He goes, I think Jake's gonna wind up pulling out or something. He goes, Joshua has a fight scheduled against the Glory heavyweight kickboxing champion on February 14th. In boxing, I forgot the guy's name. He's a Dutch guy. This could be just a sparring session on the way there. He goes, but I don't see. He goes, honestly, I don't see Jake actually doing it. This would be crazy. So you know what? I hope it's not a cock tease. I hope that
if it's not, let's go. If it's not what happens, because you're talking to me on the phone the other day.
I can't see nothing else but a stoppage win for AJ. It's actually, if I'm really honest, if I'm really going to be brutally honest, it's actually the kind of fight where I can't believe any commission would even allow it. To tell you the truth, if I'm really honest, so it's good. That's, typically commissions are very strict about matchups and the kind of fights they allow you to put together, and for safety reasons and hazardous reasons and whatnot. So this is the kind of fight that actually surprised me they would even allow it. But I know Florida is a bit of a more flexible commission than our stricter commissions like California, Nevada, Texas, and New York. But those are probably the big four. But Florida has its share of pretty big cards since COVID, so Florida's an ascending commission. And, the fact they allowed it is interesting. But you know what? It's something I got to think about. Will the fight actually go through? Because you can't see anything but a knockout. I was looking at the odds. I've actually already put in my AJ bets, and I've already on parlays, and I actually have 2 parlays that I've already cleaned up on.
Wade reveals what he calls Jake Paul's secret weapon in preparing for Anthony Joshua: non-stop sparring with heavyweights. He explains that Jake has been working with large, experienced fighters who closely match Joshua's height, reach, power, and overall presence. This approach signals just how seriously Jake is taking the challenge. Wade says Jake wants to feel heavyweight force, pressure, and intensity long before fight night, so nothing catches him off guard. He adds that Jake isn't relying on just one partner. He cycles through multiple heavyweights, each bringing a different style. Some apply constant pressure, others focus on counters, and some rely on pure physical strength and bullying tactics.
Anthony Joshua fight, if you're Jake Paul, who hasn't fought someone in the top, realistically, the top 50. I know Tommy Fury is ranked in the top 50, but anyone that is a top 50 fighter, even in your weight class, let alone a top 10, top 5 heavyweight in Anthony Joshua, who was a 2-time heavyweight champion of the world. Can you get prepared for a guy like that if you brought in, let's just say, a deity, freaking Zeus, Hercules, whoever, to prepare you? Could you do it? I don't think that Jake would have enough time, seeing as he's already undersized. He's not a real heavyweight, and this is Anthony fucking Joshua we're talking about. But I will say there were rumors going around that Jake was not taking this fight as seriously as he needed to. That Jake was flying to go see F1 in Miami after his press conference, and then going to see his girl all the way in the Netherlands if she's trying to qualify for, I think, the Olympics or something else. There was this post from his girlfriend. I don't know if, again, this was in the Netherlands or where it was at, or maybe this is an old picture, but Jake flying around the world when he has a fight in about 4 weeks is probably not the greatest look, and it doesn't seem to make it look like he's taking it as serious as he needs to, locked away in the gyms of Puerto Rico. Now, again, that could have been a different picture. That could have been something else, but that's pretty shocking to see. With that being said, I want to push back on that because I do think Jake is taking this as seriously as he absolutely needs to, because this is not only the toughest fight of his career, it's the most dangerous to the longevity of his career, to his health and well-being. And so to do something like that, you need to bring in the best help possible to get ready. We already heard that Jake Paul was preparing for Anthony Joshua by sparring the guy that Anthony Joshua was about to fight in Cassius Chaney. This gentleman right here, who was 24-3 from B-More, aka the DMV, and apparently is a top 100 heavyweight, even though it doesn't say he's actually a top 100 heavyweight, but that was what he was being marketed at.
Luke Thomas breaks down the matchup and stresses that Anthony Joshua is an enormous and extremely dangerous opponent. He says Joshua's size is only one part of the threat. The real danger lies in his experience, technique, and ability to systematically break opponents down. Thomas explains that Joshua controls distance, disrupts rhythm, and applies pressure with precision. While Jake Paul is improving, Joshua has spent years facing elite heavyweights with far greater power and tactical depth. Thomas warns that Jake must fully understand the magnitude of this challenge. Joshua's strength isn't just physical, it's strategic. He's disciplined, patient, and capable of ending a fight with one perfectly timed combination.
Hard for that weight class. Anthony Joshua is a gigantic 6'6" heavyweight. Now, he is coming off of a devastating KO loss himself to another big heavyweight named Daniel Dubois. This was a big show. But Jake Paul, while, has a decent pop for a guy who has not been doing boxing that long, it's almost incomprehensible. This is the kind of thing the state would never have regulated before. They now seem much more open to it than they ever once were. But I also think that there might be something happening, and this is, I'm speculating. I want to be clear. I'm not giving you skinny, but I don't understand how you can go from a bout with a guy that you are massively oversized against, who's very good, to one who you are massively undersized against, who's also very good, who's a devastating.
That's a wrap for today's video. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more exciting content. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. See you next time.